back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well out there, and we're going to head back to the 90s once again for another action film, but by a different action star of the period. But before we do that, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Join me here. I greatly would appreciate that. Also, as always, a shameless plug for my TeePublic and my Zazzle Store. I'll leave a link for both of those in the description box below. And today we're going to talk about a Van Damme movie, and that one is Double Impact. Yes, Double Impact came out August 9th of 1991. It's rated R. It's an hour and 50 minutes long. Had a budget of $15 million, which is up until that point was Van Damme's biggest budgeted movie. Obviously, after that, he would do bigger budgeted movies, especially with Universal Soldier and Hard Target. And upon release, it doubled its money and it made $30 million that summer. Now, who directed this film, wrote and directed this film, was somebody that was very familiar with Van Damme. They had worked together a few times before this film, and that gentleman is Sheldon Lettich. He had wrote Bloodsport in '88, which I love Bloodsport, it's legendary. And in '90, he directed Lionheart. He would also go later in the '90s, when Van Damme started doing direct-to-video fare, he wrote the movie Legionnaire for Van Damme as well. In this film, we got Jean-Claude Van Damme playing Alex and Chad. They are twin siblings that find themselves in a lot of trouble in Hong Kong. The great Geoffrey Lewis, who, if you ever, I mean, the man has since passed away, but if you ever look at his IMDb, his list of credits is legendary. I mean, he's worked with a lot of different people, been in a ton of stuff over the years, and he's great here as Frank, their surrogate father, and we'll talk about it. And Bolo Yeung, he was in Bloodsport. He was the main bad guy in Bloodsport, and he came back in this film to play one of the main bad guys, Moon, as an enforcer for our two rich guys that are scumbags in this film. And him and Van Damme were really good friends. They were friends ever since they worked on Bloodsport, and Van Damme insisted that he get hired for the role in this film because he liked working with them, and they were really good friends in real life. They still are to this day. Right in the beginning of the film, we see Alex and Chad as babies. Their father and mother get murdered, and the babies get split up. Frank takes one, and the nanny took the other before Frank could get both of them. And they've been separated for 25 years. Now that Chad's older, he's living with Frank in LA, and they run a karate studio. Frank knows that these two kids, or two men now, are heirs to in Hong Kong. Their family owned it, and they were murdered so the other people that were involved could take credit for it and have, well, because rights work a little differently. So now his plan is to reunite them, and they could take back their birthright, and they get themselves in a lot of trouble. Alex and Chad have a strained relationship. They haven't seen each other since they were babies, so they don't remember each other. So they're trying to get comfortable with each other. There's action scene after action scene until we have our finale at another dock. We just talked about Eraser, where the finale was at a dock in Baltimore. Well, this is at a dock in Hong Kong. We have explosions, hand-to-hand combat, people getting crushed by containers, and at the end of the film, our heroes win the day, and that is Double Impact. So what to like about this film? Well, I think Van Damme gives a really good performance here because he has to give two different performances. Chad and Alex are two different characters. And I think, even though I never thought Van Damme was one of our better actors when it came to action, I mean, he could do the action stuff, but he was never the greatest actor. I think he does a really nice job here. He was growing as an actor at this point, and I think he does a nice job portraying two different characters here. They dress differently, they act differently, they like different things, and I think that does come off on screen. Geoffrey Lewis is great here. All the acting's good for what it is. And the action is well done. I mean, this was a lower budgeted film. I mean, we're talking about a $15 million budget where Stallone was doing Demolition Man a couple years later, and that budget was like $65-70 million. Van Damme was always, especially early on, was working in those lower budgeted range because he had some. Lionheart was a hit. Death Warrant made some money, and this made some money, so he was starting to come up in Hollywood in budget range. So I think they did a nice job with the action, and it's done for real. Real explosions, real squib hits, real action, hand-to-hand combat. Van Damme could pull that stuff off because he trained martial artist. Is it a perfect film? No. I mean, the shortcomings are there for sure, but I will say this is a film I used to rent a lot, and it's a solid action film. It's a very solid Van Damme movie. It's one I rewatch probably about once a year. I like it that much. It's not perfect. I would never claim that, but it's a damn solid movie. And actually, this movie started off as a Cannon film. Matter of fact, Sheldon Lettich did screenwriting on Missing in Action 3. and he wanted to do this movie. A matter of fact, Van Damme had approached another director about directing this film at the time because he had just done Cyborg with Albert Pune. So he said something to Pune about doing this film, but Pune didn't seem interested, and he kind of told Van Damme, I would worry about just doing, I wouldn't do a twin role. I would just keep going for the action star roles. So Van Damme actually ended up having, Sheldon Littich direct this film because they had just worked on Lionheart. But the reason they got the rights for it was because Sheldon Littich had sued Cannon Films because they owed him money for script work on Michigan Action 3. So in the deal, he got the rights back for the script for this, and they went off and made it with a different company. So that's how that all came about. A lot of rights and all that, lawsuits, stuff like that. At the end of the day, this is a very solid action film. There's some really solid stuff here. If you're a fan of Van Damme and you've never seen this one, I highly recommend it. It's available on this Blu-ray. This one needs an upgrade too. The Blu-ray looks all right, but we need an upgrade on this as well. And they do hide the fact Van Damme's playing both roles. There's only a couple scenes where you could tell they use some kind of effect when they're on screen. Most of the time they keep it looking really good, but there's one or two times, especially on my 4K player, where it kind of looked a little hokey, where it never used to back on VHS times. But with technology, unfortunately, it shows the seams in some of these films, and that's no different. But at the end of the day, I really like this film. I would give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for Double Impact. What are your thoughts on this film? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly would appreciate that. That's it for this video. Until next time, bye.